After 12 years, Smite 1 is finally calling it. It's riding off into the sunset and taking with it fond memories. But today we don't care about those fond memories. We're going to look back at the most gruesome times in Smite. Looking back at the 10 most broken items that we've ever seen in Smite. I've been playing since season 2-ish. So I don't know like the pre-season 2 stuff. I can only talk about what I've seen from a lot of Redditors, what people have talked about. There are some pretty OP items that maybe I don't talk about. And if there is something that you guys think I should talk about, toss it down in the comments below. We'll be placing these items from 10 all the way up to 1. Do you guys have an idea what number 1 is? I know what it is easily. I know even if I had this argument with someone else, this item would be number 1 no matter what. Let me know down below what item you guys think is going to be number 1. And while you're down there, if you comment, you have a chance to win the Flexed Fawn Artemis skin. I'm going to be giving away 2 in today's video, Wednesday. At the end of the video, we'll be giving those away. So make sure you guys comment to get those. Also subscribe to the channel. We'll be doing a lot of Smite content and a lot of Smite 2 content once it drops on August 27th. Now to the video. There are more than 10 OP items in the history of Smite. It was very hard to get this list down to 10, but I think we finally figured out what number 10 is going to be. And number 10 is going to be tank boots. And there's exactly one iteration of those tank boots that sticks out beyond any others. It is these tank boots right here. For 1,400 gold, you get 20 magical power, 150 health, 30% CCR, 18% movement speed, and you get stacks of protections based off of taking damage, and they last 6 seconds. So when you get into an actual team fight, this is giving you 25 protections of each while also giving you power, CCR, and health. It is absolutely insane how much this did. And after the patch that buffed these tank boots to this spot, we can record a YouTube video where we played Sobek Jungle just to build these boots.
So hopefully they hotfix the boots because they're broken as and then everything's fine. And
yes, I get it. It's a content creator making a YouTube video, but these boots were everywhere. These boots have been in the game since season 1 all the way up till they were removed in season 8, and there's been multiple metas where these boots have taken over the game, abused in solo, sometimes abused in jungle, a lot of times abused in support. And a lot of those videos that you see of these highlights, solo lane highlights or support highlights in the early portion of the game, they're using tank boots because they were so OP. Next up, number 9, Archdruid's Fury. This is an item introduced in season 10, still in the game. It's just seen a lot of nerfs, a lot of protections, 35 of each, 300 health, 15 MP5. And on top of that, if you take 5% of your maximum health 6 times, you'll be getting a true damage auto doing 420 damage.
Nice.
The best example I can show for this one is a Final K video. He doesn't do 420 damage. He does slightly less, but the burst is insane.
oh my goodness, that auto!
And just like that, 400 damage onto the ADC, and it's true damage. It's not something that you can build protections to stop. It was true damage. It's now been changed to being magical damage, but back then it was true damage, and it was very hard to play against as an ADC. The burst was very hard to deal with, and as you see, it just makes frontliners that are diving you they have a lot of kill threat on you. Next up, number 8, Soul Eater. And this is not the Soul Eater you may be thinking of. This is Burst Heal Soul Eater. And this is a weird item because the stats don't look great. 2,000 cost, 20% lifesteal, 30% attack speed. Killing an enemy eats their soul, granting 0.5% lifesteal and 0.5% movement speed, max 20 stacks. And if you take damage below 25% health, all stacks are consumed, restoring 1.5% of your maximum health per stack. So yes, you're reading that right. A 30% burst heal on an ADC. So instead of just getting through 100% of their health, no, you'd get through 130% of your health, or you'd have to build anti-heal. And back then, anti-heal wasn't as good as it is now. They had an anti-heal relic, the same as we have now, but it wasn't nearly as good. All it did was anti-heal. They had the brawlers, they had the divines, but they didn't have like the contagions. They didn't have the toxic blades. They didn't have the poison stars, Xyz. They didn't have all that. So it's a lot harder to come across anti-heal. And back in Smite Masters of Season 3, we actually got to see the Soul Eater in action. Well, Emilito brought it out against OMG, the Chinese team.
Looking for the kill on Emilito. Jingu Bang available. Slow. Jingu.
And look at that burst heal. 50% health from right before he started fighting him, about 30%. And as you can see, no anti-heal on the Wukong means no anti-heal onto the Hu Yi, who's then going to be healing for 30% of his maximum health. And that also doesn't include that the 10% movement speed you also get from this item makes it so if you are getting chased down, it's a lot harder to catch you. Thank goodness he was on Wukong so he could just bird towards him to close the gap, but as you can see, that healing was insane. The next item we got, number 7, Equinox. Another item added very recently. The addition of this item was met with some criticisms because it was very, very, very strong. And the reason it's at number 7 comparatively to where it could be if it stayed in the game as at its strength, it could have been a lot higher. It just wasn't in the game long enough. There was no competitive, so it's probably not going to be remembered as OP. But this item was 2200 gold, gave 25 physical power, 20% attack speed, 7% movement speed, and when you hit an enemy with a basic attack from the front, you healed for 2 + 1 health per level. So 22 health per level, right? I mean, that's good. Doubled against gods. Okay, 44 health late game. And then if you hit them from the back, you would do 15 + 3 physical damage per level. Late game, that would be 75 damage. So this is a very strong early game item that scaled into the late game, giving you sustain better than Death's Toll and damage better than Kin Size against squishies. Kin Size was obviously still better damage against tanks because it more health to tear through, but Equinox was basically everything you wanted. Movement speed to catch them, power to do more damage, attack speed to proc more Equinoxes, proc more auto attacks. And then you would just sustain more. If they ever tried to turn and run, you would just kill them even faster. The addition to this item was maybe a little snooze. Number 6, Runeforged Hammer. This is the OG protections into power Runeforged Hammer. For 2050 gold, you get 55 protections, 350 health, and 15% of your physical protections converted to physical power. This Runeforge dictated worlds. The finals had Runeforge. Game 1. Game 2, Runeforge. Game 3, Runeforge. Game 4, Runeforge. And big surprise, Game 5, Runeforge. This was basically a hybrid item before hybrid item really existed, or if they were kind of brought back, this is how they would kind of be brought back as no actual physical protection stat, or physical power and physical protection stat. But it is just a very strong, cheap item. It was nerfed not too long after. I think going into season 2 or season 3, it was nerfed. But overall, very strong item, and it really dictated all of season 1 Smite. Going to number 5, Gladiator Shield. And this one was this makes all the other items, like there's a gap between all the items below this one and then this one and all the items above, because this Glad Shield was so broken. 1700 gold gave you 15 power, 45 protections, 10% cooldown, and every single ability for every single god hit would heal you 2.5% of your maximum health. So in theory, if you hit 5 enemy gods, you would heal for 12.5% of your health with just that one ability. And only one clip comes to mind with Glad Shield. It's pretty obvious.
His speed buff, and he does defend it successfully against Variety.
He's able to grab it, and they've got a target up in the air in the form of Trix Tank, but they don't follow up immediately, so he's still healthy. But the dunk back down is good. There's no way for that Terra to go, and Annister finds the kill. Now Variety is pushed up entirely on his own. King Arthur's good, but can he 1v4? Maybe he can. He's going right to the carry in the backside, but Beninu is going to fall. Variety somehow gets a kill out of all that to at least take down the bird.
They're still trying to bring down Variety, but it's going to take them a while because these guys are all out of mana. They're going to have to disengage. Annister's going to end up falling as well, but now Variety's got backup. It's just going from bad to worse here.
Yeah, I don't think I have to say too much else. It makes sense. Now you might be surprised, why is Glad Shield so low? If you're saying it's as broken as it is. Well, these next 4 items kind of changed the entire game. Number 4, the Hunter meta creator of Season 3, Golden Bow. This is a 2330 item with 35 power, 10% crit chance, and 5% movement speed. And all basic attacks will also hit enemies within a 15-foot radius of the target for 50% of the damage. I'm going to talk about this one with the tier 2 throwing dagger. These were both very strong, but it was like the tier 2 throwing dagger little niche that kind of allowed it to be so OP. And it was basically just, for 1300 gold, hunters would go to lane, out clear, have enough for pots, have good power, and basically just win laning phase for free. It wasn't like Mercury abusing Golden Bow. It wasn't anything else about this item that was OP. It was literally just the tier 2 that allowed hunters to be able to go it. If that was removed off the tier 2, you could have had, you know, maybe some changes, but they just outright removed it. I have no clips or anything to this one because it was just over such a long period of time. The one thing that I was going to try to find, but it was just way too hard. I went through like 30 videos trying to find a spot, but it was the tier 2 throwing dagger also had crit. So if you crit in laning phase on that minion, you would just get a push. Like you would just get the push and start out pushing. Or even better, if you were trading autos between the waves being dead and you got a crit and the enemy didn't, game's over. Just like that. So Golden Bow, no video of this one, but Golden Bow at number 4, insanely OP. Number 3, a little bit more of a personal pick because I think this item, for like 1 month of dominance, I actually think this item peaked higher than even the items above it, except maybe number 1. Keep that in mind. Number 3, Sigil of the Old Guard. Now, we're talking about one iteration of this Sigil that was so broken. In my opinion, it kind of ruined the game. 2150 gold, it was a starter item. 200 health, 75 magical protections, 45 physical protections, and you gain 5% damage mitigation whenever you're hit by an ability. You gain a stack of rebuke, providing an additional 4% mitigation for 8 seconds, and also healing for 3% of the max health. Healing for 3% of your max health. This can only occur once per ability cast. So, what does this item do? It gives you health, gives you protections, gives you mitigation, and it gives you healing based on abilities hit. So really, the only way to kill somebody that had this item was through a bunch of auto attacks. But you know what they would go with this item? Anything that slowed down auto attacks. And I have one specific play in mind for how OP this item was at the beginning of Season 10.
Play here, Benny Q's back up in 20, and it looks like the Wargs are going for it all.
Coast is jumped on by Aquarius. Massive fight here in Game 2. Sanford Soccer yelled at by Oath and stomped at by Ducky. That's all the Hounds will need. Gamma tossed to the side.
I just want to pause it right here. There's 4 enemies looking at Ducky, and he is still 2/3 health. And he's almost killed the jungler. The damage that Stu does to him is so useless. Stu, autoing him 10 times, did a 5th of Ducky's health. A 5th. Late game Hunter, anti-heal, anti-shield, did a 5th of Ducky's health. There's a reason that I have this at number 3. Yes, you can disagree with me, but I'm putting it at number 3 because it was so broken in that tournament. It was, we had to ban Vamana. We had to like ban Hercules because you couldn't kill those gods. Now getting to our top 2. Number 2 is going to be something that was just over a long period of time. It dominated the meta. Was it really broken? Yes, it was. It was literally needed in every single mid lane build because of how broken it was. And it is the OG Rod of Tooti. OG Rod of Tooti was a very expensive item, but this item would probably ruin the game more than any other item if brought back today. Because there is stuff that limits the other things. The mitigation doesn't stack as much, so Sigil wouldn't be as OP. There's a lot more early anti-heal for a Glad Shield if it was back in the game. There is counters to the others. But Rodic Tooti was just a 25% magical power increase. 25%. On top of it, it gave 125 magical power. It was very expensive at 3,300. But if you think about this item alone, if you only bought this item was worth 150 power because of the passive and the magical power. So this item, it brought your power from 800 to 1,000. And this was the reason that a lot of the times you were able to see those 4-digit power numbers back in the day. This item allowed that. And this is another one where I don't really have any clips because, like, what am I supposed to show? A one-shot with this build? There is nothing that I can really show you to tell you how OP this item is other than it increased your magical power by 25%, and it was in literally every single mid lane build. It was broken. And lastly, number 1, the one we've all been waiting for, and in my opinion, far and away, outright, not even close, the best item that Smite has ever seen, at least in my lifetime. It is Benevolence. And you know exactly which one I'm talking about. It's this OP one right here. 600 gold, 75 health, 10 MP5, 7 HP5. Stats are terrible. Who cares? This item was passive gold per 5 and passive XP per 5. This was so broken. Need I show more? 10 benevolences in an SPL match. Throwing away your starter. You literally can only get one starter, and 10 players on the map all said this is the best way for them to get farm. But yeah, that is all 10 items ranked from 1 to 10. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Let me know down below, what did I miss on? What do you guys want to see? Or what did you guys want to see instead? Anything that I missed? I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope you guys have won our state. I'll see you guys again next time. Peace.